我叫 Austin 啦，咁今年22歲。
我叫阿德啦，咁我就今年32啦。
My name is Dominic Sunny Wong. I'm from Hong Kong and I am 19 years old.
咁我叫 KC 啦，咁我今年28歲嘅，咁我就係英國 mix 香港啦。
I'm Franz Kid Suarez and I'm 33 years old. I'm from the Philippines and I grew up here in Hong Kong since I was 7 years old.
咁我叫 AC 啦，咁我就係25歲嘅，而家係正職一個 designer， 咁就跨男嚟嘅。
呢個係手語名，我叫海仔，我係一個聾人啦，仲係一個跨仔嚟嘅。
我個名叫 Henry 啦，咁我係一個女跨男跨性別者，咁我都係香港跨性別平權協會嘅創辦人同埋主席啦，亦都係今次呢個 project 嘅策劃人啦。咁今次嘅 project 叫做 Trans Men in Hong Kong Visibility versus Invisibility。
應該係小學嗰陣時仲好細個，然後我爸爸想我同佢一齊食早餐嗰陣時，要我着一條裙，我已經非常之抗拒。
其實小2、3左右啦，就已經係覺得自己係唔想做一個女仔㗎啦。
點解發現自己係跨青呢？其實細個都唔知㗎，都未見過呢個字啦，係咪？咁嗰陣就一路長大啦，咁但係喺學校裏邊咧都係一路忍耐啦，係直至去到18歲啦，中學畢業啦，咁就將所有嘅裙咧抌晒嘅，亦都將長頭髮咧剪到極短啦，咁亦都開始着束胸，去令到自己個身形咧越嚟越似男仔嘅。當時就唔知點樣表達自己，亦都冇諗過點樣講，亦都有好多唔同嘅困難喺裏邊，一路過程就係咁樣咯。
I never really have the language or to have the means to make this feeling intelligible until I think when I was 8 or 9, around that age, where one year during Chinese New Year I went back to my grandpa's house, and my grandpa have a lot of books regarding philosophy, and there's one by Mikhail Bakhtin, and I flipped to one of the pages because I was bored, and it said, I look in the mirror, but the mirror only encompasses the exterior. I am in the mirror, but I am also not. When I read that as a kid, I thought that described me perfectly.
可能17、18歲左右啦，先知原來有即係跨性別呢樣嘢嘅，唔係一啲因素而令到我變成咁，而係我不嬲都係咁樣咯。我會成日諗好多嘢咯，即係尤其是拍拖呢啲，所以有時係要係識咗一段時間先肯講，其實自己係 trans 咁樣咯。
Yeah, one of those obstacles is getting married in Hong Kong as a transgender man and with a woman. And what I could think of is getting the legal marriage overseas.
唔單單我一個嘅，好多聾人朋友去到醫院咧就會發現，佢哋係咁打電話俾我哋嘅，我哋喺屋企，醫院係咁打電話嚟，我哋點樣聽到個電話咧？咁醫院裏邊都會有一啲歧視嘅情況啦。要去解釋一啲資料俾我哋知嘅時候咧，就可能唔特別去解啊，令到我哋唔明白啊咁。
香港嗰個改正政策咧就非常之唔人道啦。佢第一要求係要摘除成個子宮同埋卵巢，完全絕育。第二，佢係要求做一個所謂嘅人工陰莖嘅手術。咁啊，其實你講到呢啲程序，其實入侵性好高啦。唔係個個想做或者需要做啦。而我嗰陣時，我嘅醫生都同入境處講咗，其實我係唔需要做呢啲手術，去繼續用男性嘅身份去生活嘅。但係嗰陣時，政府都唔聽我嘅醫生嘅專業嘅意見啦，咁就直接拒絕咗我嘅申請。因為咁嘅原因咧，即係我最後去咗揾法律嘅意見，最尾咧我決定咗去為呢個唔人道嘅政策去做司法覆核啦。
去到真係一個臨界點係後期，我都同佢哋分享，就係我帶佢哋去睇我個心理醫生。我同佢哋講不如你了解咗我而家諗緊啲咩先。 佢哋聽完啦，知道原來呢有個性別認同障礙症。我爸爸都仲係覺得，冇嘅，應該都會改到嘅。咁我不如就同佢傾下啦。我好記得佢問咗個問題，佢就係話：如果你而家決定要做呢件事，你係需要離開屋企嘅，你會唔會仲繼續想去做 transition 呢樣嘢？咁我好記得嗰陣時，我係好傷心，因為我帶你嚟想認識，但係你要我做呢個選擇。咁我記得我嗰陣時就諗咗陣，我就同佢講話：如果你真係要我揀呢兩樣嘢揀一樣，咁我都好唔好意思話俾你聽，我真係只可以揀我要去做呢件事，因為呢個係我人生。我覺得今日我先係開心同做翻自己。
There's a lot of opportunities where there shouldn't be any gender related to when you compete in karate.
其實我哋而家都只係想努力做翻我哋自己啦，叫做。
心態上舒服咗好多嘅，因為始終你做翻自己想做嘅嘢。
我覺得即係我未 transition 之前呢，我想像唔到未來嘅，因為我係想像到自己係一個阿叔，但係想像唔到自己係一個阿姨。我嗰一刻係真係發現咗自己一定要 transition 咯。
我覺得即係動物係佢哋天生已經知自己係乜嘢咯，即係佢哋係唔使人教嘅，即係我係好羨慕，即係動物係可以知道自己係乜嘢，又可以就咁好自然做到自己啦。
即係跨男呢個性小眾入面嘅小眾咧，從來都得唔到好多嘅關注啦，亦都 underrepresented 啦。如果你再講到跨男入面嘅一啲更加小眾，可能講緊聾人嘅跨男、非華裔嘅跨男，咁啊呢啲係完全係香港係從來冇見過佢哋喺媒體上面嘅呈現啦。所以我就希望透過今次呢個 Trans Men in Hong Kong。Visibility versus invisibility， 去將呢啲 underrepresented 嘅族群可以呈現翻出嚟，等大家睇到佢哋嘅存在。